Welcome to Crappins. Don't wait a week for a new video. Join our Patreon at the Crappins On Demand level for instant recap access. Link in description. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to Watch Crappins, a podcast about all that crap on Bravo that we just love to talk about. I'm Ben Mandelker, and joining me, someone who may or may not have a scandalous relationship with Dennis, the hot dog guy from Atlanta. It's Ronnie Karam. Hi, Ronnie. How are you?
Well, hello. How's it going?
Just fine and dandy. Atlanta is back. We are recapping Real Housewives of Atlanta today. Before we get into it, some fun updates, which is that our show is going back on the road this week. We are going to be in Cincinnati on Friday night, and we are going to be recapping Summer House. And then the next night, we're going to Minneapolis, and we'll recap Southern Charm. And then we are crossing the border into Canada, and we are going to go to Toronto to recap a classic episode of RHOA. Some may say the best episode of all time across maybe all franchises. That is the Berkshires, December, Berkshire County, season 8, episode 9. I believe that's what it is. You know, it's the one. It's the one. We're recapping that one. So if you want to come join us, go to watchwhatcrappens.com to get your ticket. I always say this, come solo, come with a group. If you're afraid of coming solo, literally don't even worry about it. You will make friends, and even if you don't make friends, you'll still have a great time. Chances are you probably listen to it on your own anyway, so there's no difference, right? I personally actually love going to live events solo now. I've discovered that it's like probably one of my favorite ways to see live music and shows. So go do it. Anyway, we're excited to see you all there. And then, of course, later in the month, we're going to Atlanta, we're going to Charlotte, we're going to DC, we're going to Philly. It's going to be such a great rest of the month for the show. So that's what's happening there. Also, in case you missed it, on Patreon, we'd love to have you on Patreon. If you do decide to join up, go through your web browser. Do not go through the app if you got it from the Apple Store, because Apple has levied a tax. And so you don't want to have to pay that surcharge. So just if you go directly through the browser, you do not have to pay the surcharge. And if you're already signed up, you're golden. But just giving you a heads up for new subscribers on Patreon, that's patreon.com/watchforcrappens. Bonus episodes, video, the whole thing. So that is the update, everyone. Shall we get into Atlanta, Ronnie? Shall we do it?
Consider yourself updated. Yes, let's get into Atlanta. Wow, it's been a long time since we've had Atlanta back on the screens, eh?
It's been a very long time, and wow, you know, this is I have to. What did you think about the premiere? About the season premiere? Because obviously there's a lot of expectations going into it. Last season was like pretty cataclysmic, and they had to fire a bunch of people, bring in new people, retool it. So a lot was riding on this premiere. How did you feel like they did?
I thought it was good. I thought it was a good start. It is weird having a reboot. I mean, it's basically a reboot. So it's weird having a full reboot and getting into it, and then they changed all the stylistic stuff of it. They're like, it's new, get it? Now we're doing 3D imaging, like portrait mode on the iPhone. They're doing weird stuff where it's like, look, Porsha's standing, but is she close to you? Is she far away? Is she about to jog? No, she's not. I don't believe that for 2 seconds, first of all. And then they do this new green screen thing where it's like a 3D green screen where the whole floor is green, everything's green, and then they still put a picture behind it so it looks like tiny dolls sitting in a dollhouse.
This is my biggest note from the episode. Can we please fix the green screen for Shamia? Okay, they did not do the proportions correctly. She looks like she's like shrunken down. I actually paused, and the size of her chair, she's sitting in like a barrel chair, and it's next to a sofa, and the top of the barrel chair is as tall as like the arm of the sofa. Like, you made her a miniature. Come on, work on your proportions for your green screen. Every time it cut to her, she looked like so obviously superimposed. It was like a TikTok video when someone puts their head in the corner. That's what she looked like.
Well, I think they're still trying to figure it out, because it's like new technology for them. They're like, housewives, new things for housewives. How do we do it? And so they all look kind of like little dolls in a dollhouse. But we found out
they
super
put Drew
interesting.
Sidora in her foyer, which, by the way, I thought was hilarious.
Well, they're trying to give Drew Sidora some AI upgrades, and they're just not working. Like, what was that wig that she wore to the party, and you could see her other hair kind of coming out the bottom? I mean, Drew Sidora's still a goddamn mess, which I love, you know.
She is. But I have to say, I thought the premiere was great. I thought
did
this was
too.
the best season premiere in several years. I think, one thing was we even saw it in the trailer. We didn't do a trailer trash of this show because we were doing trailers on our Patreon. But even on the trailer, they have like adjusted the vibe of the show. They kind of got it back to where it should have been all along, which is it's in Real Housewives territory of like money and glitz and glam. Like the trailer and then this premiere was all about like, luxury cars and jewelry, etc. And of course there's always that element. There's always wealth on these shows, but I feel like they were really emphasizing it, and they sort of got back to kind of some campiness with this premiere in my mind. Like I just felt like the tone was tweaked in a way that I really, really liked.
Well, the new girls definitely came to play. I mean, they were like, okay, let's attack the only remaining standing person from the original cast, Porsha.
Fearlessly too.
Let's take her down. Huh?
Fearlessly, like without like even blinking, like just effortlessly, not cowering, just going after like Porsha.
Yeah, they definitely came ready for some mess, so that ended up being fun. It was hard to kind of get into it just because there were so many new people, but I think that's natural with like a new Housewives show. It was funny when there was Kenya, and I actually cheered when Kenya came on because I thought they were going to cut her out of the season. So I'm glad. I was actually, believe it or not, super glad to see Kenya being so messy, and I think the friend spot is actually kind of perfect for her, even though she never would have agreed to be a friend. But now that they've cut her into a friend, it's kind of perfect. I will say they look kind of like aunties to the rest of them. They're like, oh, these crazy girls, like sitting in a corner, like these crazy girls. Remember when we used to be like that? And also, I missed Candy. And listen, Candy, I know didn't give the most in the past few years, and I'm sure I was one of the loudest, like something needs to change. But Todd's restaurants, I don't know which one. I think it's Old Lady Gang. One of the restaurants hasn't been paying their rent, and it's a whole mess over there. So I just want to know. I just want an update on how Candy feels about Todd blowing through all of her cash. So I kind of needed that update, but
I've always loved Candy. I think she's actually like an incredible housewife. But I think it was a good decision to just kind of really push out a lot of the people and like get in some fresh faces here, but still have like someone like a Porsha, a big personality that we know of Porsha, Shamia. What was surprising is that Shamia's been around for years, right? Like low key, she's one of the best kind of friends of across all franchises, but she sort of doesn't get as much credit as like a Marlo or someone else. But with Shamia, what's so surprising is not only did she get elevated to peach status, she's kind of the center of the show now. Like they really did kind of like all the relationships go through Shamia, which is surprising. And what I was surprised about is how well she stepped in as kind of the glue in the center of the new Atlanta. So there was like a lot of really surprising elements for me.
And just to think how much footage they must have cut of Shamia, because really all they ever show of Shamia is kind of kissing Portia's ass or standing up for Porsha. But then we find out this episode that Shamia never shuts the fuck up. And so they probably have like reels of Shamia footage on the ground that we've just never seen.
Yeah. And like, I think we knew that Shamia acts and sings and does all that sort of stuff, but I never realized how much of that person she was until she became the center peach. And then it's like, oh, you're an actor. You're an actor and a singer because you're acting and singing all the time now. Like anytime she can have the spotlight, she's like, hello. I was like, whoa, this is Shamia. What? This is crazy.
Yeah, well, it's go time, and she went. Like she showed up and she went for it. Okay, so let's start from the very start. Here we are back again. Atlanta. Shots of Atlanta. And then, shots of the season. Porsha, you're an awful fucking slimy ass bitch. And basically Portia's big thing is, I jog now. And so Portia's got really long hair and she's kind of bouncing up and like, shots of her sneakers. She's getting ready to run, guys. And then it's slow-mos, and then it's portrait mode, and then it's 3D, and then it's like every shot that they could find in their final cut they used.
Well, they also like used a really cool visual plugin, which is that they made flashbacks appear on buildings. Like that was a nice touch too.
Yeah.
Right. Like she's like walking down the street and it's like memories on like on the side of the building.
Yeah.
So she's like, honey, you know I had to circle the block and I'm back. So she's saying how life is amazing. She's been traveling, living her best life, and Pilar's getting big. And, you know, like life doesn't always have a fairy tale ending. And then we see her and Simon, headlines that her and Simon have divorced after 15 months of marriage. I'm like, I'm not sure that relationship had a fairy tale beginning either, to be fair. I don't know if it was a fairy tale.
Don't you remember when Cinderella went to that ball and saw someone else's husband and was like, mine? And then she got the husband and then she broke the shoe over somebody's head. Very good. I think Kenya was dressed as a Native American at one part.
Yeah,
maybe those are my fairy tales.
That was the same Halloween party where Fallon was like dressed like, was she like a alien or something? She had like scales. She had like a very complete
Medusa,
costume where
right?
Was she Medusa, right? And she just went running around with like a golf club. Great fairy tale.
So, things you guys might remember from your fairy tales: bank fraud, credit card fraud, identity fraud, fake marriages, multiple felonies. Didn't want to be married to a stranger. And then this is my favorite headline: Simon seemingly calls Real Housewives of Atlanta star Porsha Williams a pig with lipstick.
Wow.
First, way to misuse the saying, but also that's a funny fucking headline. So back to Porsha. She's like, I filed for divorce, and we have financial issues and trust issues. Yeah, go back and read the headlines. There were some issues.
He just wasn't the man that I thought I was marrying. I mean, Pilar and I, like, we're still living in a marital home, but, like, things are getting really stressful with the divorce, and I'm trying to figure out a way forward.
Wow, I can't believe Simon wasn't the man that you thought you were. Who was the man you thought you were marrying? Because I think we all saw Simon as this. Where were you? What did you see him as?
Old man with a lot of money, but she thought it was his, presumably, I guess. So then we see her mom, Diane, and she's like, from the looks of it, you were the perfect couple. The thing was just not to go to bed angry, and you also co-parented wonderfully. Well, it's hard not to go to bed angrily when the fucking furniture rental place is trying to take the bed out from under you, okay?
Who the fuck did I marry?
Now, we should have realized that Porsha would be coming back to Bravo and bringing her whole cohort, because Bravo is having a big hot dog moment. Like every show is focusing on hot dogs these days, so it's only natural that Dennis returns to our screens with
hot dog
content. Yeah, he's the hot dog pioneer on Bravo.
He's Hot Dog Dubin. He's the Harry Dubin of this show, just going from housewife to housewife for screen time. So Diane's like, oh my gosh, Porsha. It's when you look at one part of it, then you start to look at another part of it, and then you wonder how much of it was real.
Yeah. None.
I love that they're just so shocked, especially Diane, just shocked that any of this could have happened to poor Porsha. Girl, I watched that reality show. I watched the Porsha show. I can't believe Diane's acting shocked.
Yeah.
I let my guard down because I felt like it was a safe space, and I still love this person, and I really hate all that. I let my guard down.
You didn't let your guard down. You saw a really wealthy guy and you got with him. So then now we see Porsha going downtown. She's in her workout outfit, and Portia's like,
a lot of people, they say, well, this could be karma or whatever, but for me, I guess with bad karma comes good karma, because I always come out okay.
I don't know if karma works out that way. I think sometimes bad karma is just bad karma. I don't know if it evens out. Like if you have bad karma, then I think it's just bad karma that you're stuck with,
it's
right?
It's just how you market it.
Porsha. And she's right. I mean, Portia's doing fine. She's still doing fine. I mean, she came back as the star of this show, so.
Yeah, well, she's still a star.
Yeah, I got her karma got her a storyline for another season. So what does she care, you know? So now we go to Shamia, and she's with her daughter at their place. Well, first it looks like it's going to center around Porsha, right? Because the opening is all Porsha, and then we see Porsha jogging. And anyone who's watched this show from the beginning is like, "Oh my God, guys, Porsha jogs now. The world is at peace. We're getting a new storyline." But then we get the credits or whatever, and then it turns out that the season is built kind of around Shamia, which you've mentioned. So we go to her place, and it's this huge mansion, and she's like, well, people only know me as Portia's ride or die. And then we see flashbacks of Shamia sticking up for Porsha, and then taking pictures of Porsha and Phaedra, and then doing the splits at a bolo party.
Yeah, but then she says, but I mean, there's way more to me than I can outshine the best of them. My $9 million house was the second largest sale in Georgia that year. But you know what? I don't even have to get down like that, even though I did just mention that it was the second largest sale. I hate being defined by my walls, which just as a reminder, they did cost $9 million. If you can afford to buy me the cheapest house tequila at the bar, let's do it and drink it in my $9 million house. You know, I might spit it over there and then buy us the good stuff. That's what I'll do. So then
you were drinking the cheapest tequila at a bar when you met that man. You know, don't act like you've never had the cheapest tequila at a bar. She's like, well, I'll play with the cheapest tequila eventually.
Then I'll spit it out.
So Shamia's found. Then we see Shamia. She's brought the whole family, and that's another thing. Everybody knew had the whole family on. So I was like, it's a lot. It's new people.
Everyone's moving in. Everyone's literally moving into Bravo. So Shamia's like, I haven't had any parties at my home since I bought my home for $9 million. I had my birthday party, but this is my first big party. And if it's a party, I'm gonna party. And it doesn't have to be a twerk. I mean, I can twerk. And then we just see her with like this whole massive family. And again, this is where we first see Shamia in her teeny tiny chair and the green screen. And it's like, please fix this. You have time to do it, production. Just enlarge the image. Okay, zoom in a little bit, zoom out over there. Let's get the proportions right because it's driving me nuts.
Yeah, they kept changing it, and it was crazy looking every single time. But Shamia, I think if she went to any kind of, media training or whatever before this season, just kind of get her ducks in a row, I think the media trainer just told her, when in doubt, twerk. Just start shaking your ass cheek, clap your ass cheeks whenever you're in doubt. Because every other scene, Shamia is like, clap, clap, clap. She's like, I can twerk. So she's gonna have a party. We meet her nephew, and she's like, oh, one thing you better know about me is family's the most important thing. It goes God, and then family, and then $9 million house.
Career-wise,
It's a spider went up the water spout. A $9 million house.
It's a very expensive water spout. So she's like, career-wise, I like to call myself like the female Jamie Foxx. I mean, sorry, I know I'm a bit too modest to be on Bravo right now, but I'm a quadruple threat. I'm an actress, a singer, a dancer, an owner of a $9 million house. It's just a lot that I can do. And it just kind of happened that way because I'm a lover of music. I'm a lover of arts. I'm a lover of people. I'm a lover of Zillow. And I'm blessed to be able to do it all.
I mean, I haven't really heard of much of that, but I guess that doesn't really mean anything. I mean, I found out who Chappell Roan was like 2 months ago because she was yelling at a reporter. Now I'm a huge fan. I mean, I didn't know. It takes me a while to figure things out. So for now, I'm just going to take her word for it. So she has an elevator in her house, and she's racing her daughter, and her daughter's like, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to go up the stairs and beat you. And she's like, no, you're not. And so she takes the elevator, and the kid runs up the stairs, and you can tell she's a good mom because she's like, how do you always beat me? Because if I was the mom, I would have come off that elevator, seen that kid, and just pushed her down the stairs. Should have taken the elevator. That thing is paid for a reason, you ungrateful little fuck.
She's like, I've just been through it, just trying to grow my family. I have 2 girls. So she talks about she has one girl who's like Shia is 5 years old, Shiloh is 15 months, and Shiloh was born prematurely via surrogacy, and so there was a lot of medical complications and surgeries, etc. So it's a lot that she is dealing with over there. And so then she talks about how her husband, they've been together for 10 years. His name is Jerome. He's Kenyan, and they met at a nightclub. And she tells the whole story about like how he tried to buy her a drink, and she was like, no. And then he's like,
well,
then
he bought her
like,
a drink.
her.
So he bought her a drink, but then he never talked to her again. And she was like, what the hell? You can't just buy me a drink and not talk to me again. I just figured something was wrong with him. But then I was invited to a cookout. And then so I went to the cookout, and then the producer goes, Shamia, could you make it short? And she's like, I'm almost done. Just give me one more second. So then he sits by me. We have fun. And she goes on for, I swear to you, 15 minutes. It's like, in their time, it must have been like 3 hours long. And finally, she gets to the meat of the story, which is she goes to his house. She's like, I don't want to go in because you're going to think that, you know, you're going to get some. And he's like, no, it's okay. We can just relax. So they're relaxing. And then he hears her stomach gurgle. And he's like, don't worry about it. The bathroom's right over there. And she's like, so I went into the bathroom and I exploded all over that bathroom. And I mean, things were just coming out everywhere. And, you know, I go in there and I'm kind of embarrassed. And that man still called me for another date. That's when I knew. And next time I went over, there were baby wipes there. So ladies, shit in his house on the first date. Shit.
That was the lesson to be learned. So she keeps going because, like, this, by the way, this kind of reboot is it's a little bit like a sizzle reel, and like for this, a sizzle reel is essentially like when you're trying to sell a reality show, you kind of make it's sort of like a pilot, but it's a lot of people, the cast members talking to the camera, telling you who you are. It's basically talking to the producers, like, I am so and so. This is my background. This is why I should be on your show. And then you see some scenes of them together. So it's kind of like that vibe because we get like these very long scenes of people talking to us. But it's okay because they have to do it. They have to bring us into this world. So Shamia's going on about how Shiloh is in the NICU, and so like this year they're pulling out all the stops, and she's inviting all her friends, some of her new friends like Kelly and Britt, and then also like Porsha, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
So then we see why she's the glue. And we see all the pictures of the new people. And so she starts stringing it all together. So she's known Porsha for a decade. And she's good friends with Porsha because Porsha told her she needs to shave her vagina. Which,
yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
That's all you need, really.
Through Porsha, she met Cynthia in Kenya because, you know, 50 Cent is back this season. And then she met Kelly because Kelly came onto Shamia's radio show, and we meet Kelly shortly. But one thing I have to say, I love that Atlanta cast a waffle queen on the show. Like that's like my favorite thing ever. Like Queen of Waffles is new cast member. And then so Kelly would cook for her, and then she's also Kelly is friends with Britt, so I guess she met Britt through Kelly. So that's how Britt came into the mix.
Yeah. And she's like, I love those girls because they let their hair down and their titties out. So we did that. We do that. And Drew, they did a film together 10 years ago on TLC, and it was a biopic. I wouldn't say biopic.
It was a biopsy.
Doesn't it sound like it should be biopic? It's a biopic.
It was myopic. It was a myopic biopic. What movie was that? Did they say what movie that was? I need to know what it was. I'm gonna look it up.
Crazy, Sexy, Cool. The TLC story. It's a 2013 American biographical television film about TLC.
I thought it was a biopic that aired on TLC.
John and Kate plus 8. How it came
Oh yeah,
to
I remember.
be.
I think I saw that movie. I feel was that on Lifetime? You know what? Doesn't matter. We'll move on. But I really was like, well, I didn't know that TLC aired biopics. I was so confused. John and Kate plus 8. John and 8 plus Kate and Drew Sidora. Drew Sidora in a Kate Gosselin wig. It's like Drew and Ralph.
Wait, Kate. What are their names again? I just said it.
John and Kate.
John.
Kate Gosselin.
I made John live in the basement with 7 of the children. So
John went to Tampa again.
That's how she knows Drew, and Drew is really good friends with the Angela Oakley. And she doesn't really know Angela, but she knows Charles because Charles is the Charles Oakley, maker of the sunglasses, I presume, because I don't understand sports very much. So.
I used to have such a crush on Charles Oakley in the 90s, I swear. You know, because he was on the Knicks, and I was a big Knicks fan. And I'd go to those Knicks games, and he would be there, and I'd be like, Charles Oakley. So I'm like very like I'm taken to a place when I see Charles Oakley on this show.
Well, he's the resident because no matter how many times you recast a housewife show, they're always going to have the grumpy asshole husband, and that's him. He's just the old grump who's like, "Fix your hair."
Yeah, I actually really love that they included the Oakleys, not because of any sort of Charles Oakley thing I bring to it, but because Angela Oakley is like a little older, and she's kind of giving some light Karen Huger vibes, you know.
I got that as well.
Like some grand dame, but like maybe not as delusional. But I like that they're like, okay, well, let's bring in someone who's like a little more regal into this mix, because I think that always works on these shows.
And this is when I got the Karen, when she's acting like, well, I'm Angela Oakley. Oh God, my wig glue. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What am I going to do about my wig glue? And then she's like, the wind is blowing off my wig. I can't. She had to go to the bathroom, and you just hear her in there, oh my God, the wig glue. What am I going to do about the wig glue? And I was like, oh, thank God. One Karen goes, one prison door slams and another door opens, you know?
Yes, exactly. So back to Shamia's house, and she's saying, like, trying to be friends to multiple people that don't always see eye to eye. That's like the thing, like right now in my life. So then there's Glenda, who is someone in the household right now. Ariana Grande arrives in her outfit from Wicked, and she's like, we shouldn't have to worry about that. So
She's like, somewhere over the rainbow.
Unlimited. This elevator is unlimited.
Could they make the elevator a cast in this show? Because Porsha's coming out of the elevator. I have to make a gif of that. I need that in my life. I need to be able to send that as a response in texts. But we'll get to that. Right now, Shamia is the glue. But she's complaining to her family. She's like, you know,
right now,
being
Shamia is the glue. Right now, Shamia is the glue, everyone. Let's get back to the glue.
I know. Ms. Oakley could have used you at your party. But she's talking about how she has to keep all that. She's like, you know, hanging out with girls, they probably don't all get along. It's like, this is episode 1. Okay, you can't already be having this discussion with your family. And they're like, shut up, you finally got a peach. Stop your bitching. Yeah. So then we go to Drew, who's pretending to play with her children. Like that's a normal thing that she does. And it's in their, you know, front yard that's on the street, throwing balls, you know. And this was very Drew.
Yeah, it is fun that in this like revamp where there's like emphasis on like luxury and diamonds, etc., that then they have to go to Drew Sidora and like they try to make her seem glam, like now into the exciting life of Drew Sidora. And
she's like, kids, you want to listen to your iPod? She's pressing play on that boombox that nobody would take in her first season.
She slips and falls on a penny saver on her front stoop.
Listen, you kids better be good or I'm not reading you the Val Pack before you go to bed tonight. Right?
She's like, it's a lot of change. Like I have a lot of quarters and pennies saved up right now. And then she has her chef who's like, yeah, it's a lot. She always has, I don't know if it's the same lady as before. I think it is because she has this chef that has just like the biggest eyelashes. Like this chef is always like, I'm going to be on camera. I'm going to put all the mascara on right now before I cook this salmon. So,
but didn't she have problems with paying a chef? Wasn't that one of her things that she wasn't paying that chef?
I think when it comes to payroll and staff, that may be a problem area for Drew in general, beyond just even chefs. But
yeah, she likes volunteers. That girl's like the Red Cross of her neighborhood. She just takes as many volunteers as she can get. Yeah. So she tells us that she's been in 5 movies in a year. And I was like, who's done 5 movies in a year? And so I looked it up, and they're Tubi movies, you know?
Yeah. Those Tubi movies are huge, actually.
What is it?
No, the Tubi movies are like do incredibly well, actually. Go on.
There you go. She's done 5 of them in a year. Vicious Murder, The Pass, Boxed In, The Preacher's Son, Women of the Jury, Adopted. And then before that, she had like a 6-year break where she did Skinned. It's like, damn. And then White People Money, a 2020 comedy. So she's done a lot of stuff.
Oh, and also it says here Conclave. I didn't realize she was in Conclave, but good for her. That was an amazing turn for her.
She's been in
Just
a lot of
imagining,
stuff.
just imagining her with Rafe Fiennes. Like I was in The Pass, and then I was in Conclave.
What's Conclave? I don't know. I don't get the joke.
It
I'm
was
just
a
laughing
prestige
so I don't
film. It
look
was
stupid, but I don't get it. What is
An
it?
Oscar-nominated prestige film. Drew
Why
Sidora,
don't
known
I know
from
anything that's Oscar nominated? What planet do I live on? What's Nora?
Drew
I'm still
Sidora.
mad I don't know what a Nora is. And then I found out it's about a hooker who gets with a Russian billionaire, and I'm like, that's my movie. Like, that's my type of movie. It's like my dream.
Yeah, I mean that's what half these Housewives shows are basically about. I mean, hello, did you not see Portia's? Well, Portia's not a hooker, but it is about people getting with billionaires.
Yeah. Remember when the plot line, everybody
good
was
for them.
dissing each other for being with, like, trying to get with African billionaires or whatever? And now look
Yeah.
at where we are. all these years later. It's like, shouldn't have shamed us. We took over the show, suckers.
And by the way, I support it 100%.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm looking forward to finally seeing The Brutalist, which is like 3 hours long and has an intermission just to see how Drew Sidora does in that, because I feel like she will really play really well off of Adrian Brody.
I'm sorry. I thought I signed up for a movie called The Doodleist. I'm not really sure. I made a couple of houses with cars out front.
Well, we were hoping to we were hoping to cast Laura Dern, but we'll deal with Drew Sidora instead. By the way, Facebook recommended.
We ended up with Laura Dern. Damn it, Drew Sidora's
Can I-
here.
Can I tell you something? Facebook actually suggested that I be friends with Laura Dern this weekend. It was like, someone you may know, Laura Dern.
Oh
And I
my
was like,
gosh,
"What?"
that's amazing.
And it said Laura Dern works at Hollywood. I was like, I don't know if this is a real Laura Dern.
You should
But
have
it
friended
looked
Laura Dern. What the hell's wrong with? I still get
I
Tom
didn't-
Sandoval and stupid people like that. You got Laura Dern. Damn, your algorithm
Because I was
sweet.
I was afraid that if I added her as a friend, that she would not accept me. And then I don't know if I am ready to be rejected by Laura Dern. I think I like a world where I have the possibility to be friends with her still, and I don't want that possibility to be shut down just yet.
No, you have to be rejected by Laura Dern. That's how you build calluses, And then you don't care if you're rejected by people.
Well, maybe, okay. I'll go to Facebook. If it's still suggesting her, I'll add her.
Yeah, you got to add
mean,
Laura Dern.
she's
Come
someone
on,
I
reach
might
for the
know.
stars.
Facebook knows everything. I mean, it's someone I might know. It's someone I might know.
So she's talking about the girls. Oh, no, we go to Drew. So Drew's like, there's so much change. And, it's just so disheartening, this divorce, It's been a year now. I would have hoped that Ralph and I could have mediated on our own, but, we just couldn't agree on anything. And then we see a flashback to last year's reunion where Andy's like, oh, were you faithful to Drew, Ralph? And he's like, it would have came out already. He's like, that is not the question. Now, I wish they would have shown where Drew was like, I've written a solo, a ballad for Ralph. Can I sing it right in front of Ralph? Have Ralph sit here on the reunion stage. You're going to the basement, you piece of shit. You've hurt me. I love that. That was one of my favorite all-time Housewives moments.
And Drew is like, our divorce is dramatic. It's a roller coaster. It's a shit show. And you can tell at this moment, Drew thinks that she's like the centerpiece of the season. She's like, okay, everyone, I get it. I'll just have the weight of the season on my shoulders. I can do it. Don't worry.
That's Drew every season. That's Drew. That's why she's so good at this. And
Yeah,
a lot
she
of
is like
people are
a-
disappointed that, like, out of everybody that made it back, we're bringing back Drew. This is why. It's the
Yeah.
delusion.
Yeah, like it's very reluctantly. Drew Sidora is a good housewife because she is so deluded and she's so shady, and that's kind of what we need and want from our housewives.
Yeah. So Kenya comes. Speaking of, Kenya comes over with Brooklyn, and the kids go play dolls and stuff. And she's like, "So a lot has changed. This was actually Ralph's office, and then we see Ralph's barber chair. Is it actually a barber shop now? Because there's a bunch of people in there."
She's
doesn't say
turned
who
it
they are.
basically into a glam room. So Ralph's office is a glam spot now. And Kenya's like, well, where's Ralph? And she's like, well, so basically we had a court order when we went to court and he got moved to the basement. Ralph is in the basement, unseen by the cameras, like an ogre, like the troll under the bridge.
It's so good. And then their daughter's like, "Where's Daddy?" She says, "Go downstairs to the basement." She's like, "I'm scared, Mommy." Go. So she's like, turn on the lights, see if Daddy's down there. I like that Ralph is in the basement in the dark.
I'm just imagining he's like gonna come out to light and his hair is gonna be like big and he's gonna be like walking on the ceiling or something.
So we hear his voices and she's like, Daddy, Daddy's like, baby girl, how are you doing, my love? Come on,
Drew's
Daddy.
Drew's throwing raw meat down there. Here's breakfast.
just throwing a turkey leg down there. Here, eat your breakfast. Send the tray back up when you're done.
So Kenya's like, not banished to the basement. Are you allowed to go down there? She's like, no, not without permission. He has a whole different entrance. And every first, third, and fifth weekend he gets fed. And that's when I have to leave.
And I love that she leaves the house and he gets to walk around the house every other weekend. That's so fucking funny to me. Ralph's just like, yeah, rub my wiener on that, rub my wiener on that, rub my wiener on that. And she goes, well, I was hoping he would take that opportunity to move out and get a life, but fortunately he didn't. You know, I thought he would do what he loves to do, which is be out in the streets. But no. He's in the basement, the dark basement. So she tells Kenya that they don't communicate. They have to communicate through like a divorce app thing. And he tries to get shitty on the app, but she's like, well, the judge can read it, so I hope he has fun with that.
That's so Ralph to be like to go off on an app that is solely read by a judge.
Dummy Ralph.
It's so stupid. So Kenya's like, so what is Drew doing? And she goes, well, I literally did 5 movies last year. You may have seen Honora. I was not in that. And then I'm doing my music. You may have seen
I did audition for Honora, and it's really funny because my response, they said, no. So I thought
it was actually not. It was actually an Australian casting person who said, no.
No.
And I'd been doing music. You may have seen my duet with Beyonce, wherein I stood up next to my TV and sang along with her during that Netflix halftime show. So that was really special for me. So yeah, doing a lot.
She's like, let me tell you this much. This ain't Texas, and this ain't Hold'em. So you may have heard it. So she goes, oh, and you know Dennis from Detroit. He's helping me with my music. And she's like, Dennis who? She goes, Dennis. Dennis, Hot Dog Dennis. That's who I'm partnering with on music. Yeah. We have a new label called Relish. It's huge. Huge.
Yeah, I'm actually, by the way, I'm opening up for Tank in Chicago, and Kenya's like, "Oh my God, Tank! That's like amazing." Yeah, it's a dunk tank. Actually, it's not the musician Tank. I'm going to a carnival, and I'll be singing songs there, so I'm really excited.
And Kenya's like, Dennis, Porsha's Dennis, and she's like, yes. So then we see flashbacks of the Hot Dog King being like, "I'm Hot Dog King." Porsha being like, "I love hot dogs. I'm pregnant."
You know, when I've thought about that maybe it's time for me to get into music. And I thought, if I'm going to get into music, I'm going to need a record producer. And the first one I thought of is like, I want someone who works with hot dogs. That is how I'm going to make my success. Like straight to the number one spot.
I wonder if Dr. Derwiener Schnitzel's busy. I need somebody.
Doesn't every music documentary start off like this? It's like someone who's singing, and it's like, and then I met Ron Perlman, who was selling hot dogs, and he said, I got a sound for you. And then he like writes a song. It's always like this person who sells hot dogs or seatbelts or something like that. And then they get their initial success, and then that person winds up being like the grifter,
Yeah. I was humming a song about a husband in the basement when I was in line for my 10-cent Costco hot dog, and the guy behind the counter said, I think I can work with this. So here we are.
So anyway, here's a sample of this new song that Dennis wrote for me. Let's go out to the movies. Let's go out to the movies. Let's go out to the movies and have ourselves a snack.
Nicole Kidman narrated our first date. It was big. It was big. So then we see Dennis. She was on the phone with Dennis, and Drew's like, hey, bro, what's going on? And he's like, well, we got to put your show together. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, well, we got to do a mini listening session. So I'm thinking a lot of heads. Of hot dogs? Yes, a lot of hot dog heads.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. We're going to have a sofa and it's going to be yellow and we'll put you in kind of like a reddish brown suit and you'll lie across the sofa, but then I'll just look like a hot dog. Exactly.
We've got some people coming. We've got Oscar. We've got Mayor. She's like, sounds great.
Nathan. Nathan's coming. We're going to do it at a ballpark.
Hebrew, you know. It's all coming.
So then we see her just like singing, and it says Portia's Dennis in a glass reflection, just shadily pointing it out.
She's
so
singing
like,
in Hebrew. She's like, just want to make the heads happy.
This is going out to an entire nation. This is going out to a higher. What was the slogan? We cook for a higher God. I don't know what it is. So Kenya is like, wait a minute. So how does Porsha feel about that? So Drew's like, well, she was just like, girl, yeah. And I was like, just very grateful for Dennis and who he has been in my life and showing up as like my angel on earth, because literally there were days where I couldn't get out of bed crying. And he's like, I can't stop you from crying, but I can feed you hot dogs. And, you know, I knew I had a session and I would get there. And like, he was that saving grace when I was going through all that I was going. It was just all good. And he's just a stand-up guy who wants to be there for his daughter. And he's like, look, this music is going to help me pay for my daughter's college. And we're all on the same team. This is a family. Just a hot dog vendor producing a record. That's it.
Yeah. And Kenya's like, how come you didn't ever produce anything for Porsha? Because she tried to put out a song a while ago and it didn't go anywhere. And then we see Portia's music video from 2014, Flatline.
That's great. That's that Flatline is an appropriate name for a song and a musical career.
You know, Porsha may not be the best singer, but she's a psychic singer. So you got to hand her that. So Drew's like, well, maybe because he wasn't into music then. And Kenya's like, but you just said it was his greatest passion. Drew's like, well, I don't know how long it's been his passion, you know, but he told me he did talk to Porsha to get her blessing. And she goes, did he get it? She's like, he told me he did. So I was like, cool. I mean, I'm sure she's just not going to speak up. I mean, Portia's going to be somebody who's going to speak her mind if she's mad, and she hasn't said anything to me yet. So I'm sure everything's going to be fine.
Yeah. What could go wrong? So now we go to a place called Dirty Tea. And now it's time to meet Kelly, a new cast member. And so this is basically a long scene where we learn about Kelly. She has a daughter. Her daughter Chloe's 17th birthday. So Kelly tells us that she is a single mom, and she's like, single mom life is definitely not for the weak. And it's like it's a tea party birthday, so everyone has got like hats and everyone's dressed up to the nines, and etc. And there's all these kids around. And so her daughter Chloe is 17, and then she has a kid named Chance, who's 11, and then she has twin daughters, Chastity and Chelsea. So everyone has a CH first name, which is funny because Kelly is K, but that's fine. Whatever. CH is the new K, I guess.
Yeah, are you supposed to match it to your own?
Well, I would think so, but maybe not. It's okay. Start a new trend. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, so she's got a lot of when she's mad, like when your mom gets mad, she's so mad that all the kids, she can't even get it together. She's just like, get down here.
It's like a car starting. Or like Jason Voorhees.
Yeah. So it is can't do it.
Juice Adore's try to sing along to it. Oh yeah.
Your daddy's in the basement. So this is a birthday party for her 17-year-old, and she gives her 17 purses. And the kid wanted a pink Birkin, but the mom's like, whatever, you're not getting a pink Birkin for me, but I will give you 17 purses because it's your 17th birthday. Couldn't you just buy a Birkin for that? I mean, those were nice purses. Those weren't cheap purses.
I know. This is Kelly proving her proving why she should be on the show. She's like, I'm wealthy, guys. Trust me. Yeah, waffles. Waffles make you wealthy. I'm super wealthy, guys. Put me on Bravo. So she's trying. This
I've
is
got
like
waffle
this is her-
wealth. She's like, look inside your purse, honey. There's your real present. It's a waffle.
I am creating generational waffle wealth. So, so she's getting divorced and everything, and Brittany is there. This is her friend Brittany. This is not Britt, who's the new cast member, but Brittany is asking how she feels about getting divorced, and she's saying it's been like a long 2.5 years of her life, and she just wants to cut that out and take her name back. And she says her ex Mark is the father of her 3 daughters, and it's been hard. They were married for 11 years, and she got married, she had children, and she created a business. And so she's saying, like, how do we turn from that into complete enemies?
So we get her resume. She's from Baltimore. She's been here since 2003. And she started a restaurant in 2016 called Nana's Chickens and Waffles. Or Chicken and Waffles, not chickens. They're actual chickens eating waffles. Nana's Chicken and Waffles. And she's like, I named the restaurant after my grandmother, which is, you know, tricky because everyone's going to trust a place called Nana's. No one's going to trust a place called like Granddaughter's Chicken and Waffles. Like, I don't want to eat
Second
that. I want to eat
cousins.
the experienced person's chicken and waffles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Stepsisters, Nana, you know, chicken and waffles. So she's like, yeah, it's like my second child. And it's just this little restaurant, but it turned into a huge deal. So now I have 24 karat gold maple syrup. And that was featured in Forbes. And
a line of waffle mix, Asian grits, a cookbook.
And she's very excited about a mimosa mix. What the mimosa is 2 things. It's champagne and orange juice. What are you putting Tang into a champagne?
I was like, mimosa mix? Is that just orange juice?
Like
you
powdered
said that, I
orange
was
juice?
like, what? She's like, yeah, you can pretty much put that shit in everything. Yeah, because it's orange juice. So she's like, when somebody is constantly tearing you down, trying to take and be mean and spiteful. When we went to court that last time, you know what he told me? He said pancakes are better than waffles. I swear to God, in front of my daughter. It was terrible. Anyway, he threatened me, and my daughters don't deserve that. They come from a loving, waffle-forward home.
Yeah, and then she's, you know, spending time with her kids, you know, the real cute. Her kids are really cute. And then we see the montage of her 17 presents gift giving thing. And then she's like, yeah, well, this is nothing new for my kids, you know. They're used to this kind of thing. So I'm going to have to do it for every kid when they turn 17. So purse economy, here I come.
Yeah. So now we go to Porsha, and you know it's not a Real Housewives of Atlanta season without someone going to visit that lawyer, Randy. So here she is. She is arriving.
This is the
She's
elevator.
in the elevator.
Scene. Oh my God.
Yes.
This elevator was so hilarious. So she's trying to get out of the elevator and it starts closing and then it closes on her butt, but it won't reopen. And she's just like eating her butt. She's like, hey, hey, hey.
She's like,
Yeah, it's definitely crazy having to call Randy again. It's insane. I gotta file for divorce.
is it crazy? I mean, I swear this guy's been on every single season. I'm surprised he's not holding a peach at this point.
Yeah. And then Randy, of course, is like, oh my God, Porsha, it is so good to have you back in my life again. You don't want to hear that from a divorce. You know what I mean? He's like, thank God I can finally pay off my kids' college. God, your divorces are lengthy. This is going to be fun.
He's like, yeah, you really walked away from a lot. And then we see Portia's greatest hits. We see her with the Cordell, and she's like,
Cordell packed up my stuff, and I'm like, some random like Karma has his name, and that name is Bitch, and I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna fight him in that big bubble butt.
And she says that she was smart to do it. She did a prenup this time because she had to be more responsible. And she says that in her relationship with Simon, she felt like that if she had him by her side, that they were going to conquer everything. But then she started to realize that there were just like a lot of untruths going on.
Yeah. And just the way that Portia's putting it all out, like, I just had no idea what was happening in the headlines. They're putting headlines now in these weird little Chiron things at the bottom, and they just like flick up for 2 seconds, but they're all like fraud, 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 nothing but fraud, nothing but lies, nothing but fraud. All the headlines that come up. So she's like, with Simon at my side, I thought I could conquer anything, but I can't get out of the elevator right. Make him go, make him go. So Randy's excited, but one of the big points of contention is that she claims this is her, since it's the marital home and they have 50-50 split over the home, she should be able to shoot in it, and he's trying to not allow her to shoot in the home, and that's cutting off her money.
Yeah. And you don't mess with that at all. So Randy's like, well, the court gave you the right to live in the house, and so we're going to try to do an extra document. This is the court is telling everyone who wants to do film that we have the full right to do that. I just want to say a shout out to my daughter. Hi, honey, I'm back on TV. So then basically they're going to do some lawyerly stuff, and Porsha tells us that Simon sent a cease and desist, etc., and the home, and she's like not going to. Like, she needs to film in the home. Like, that is cutting off her lifeblood. So she is going to fight.
She's like,
it's not like I was just sitting there like some dumb little wife and just enjoying some money. No, I actually asked my husband, what's going on? Why are we in the secondary line at the airport?
any judge is going to be like, yep, she knew. Give this woman whatever she wants. She didn't get to go through the clear line, for Christ's sake.
So she's like,
but just all this information that I'd asked him about, he lied about and came out about him being like him not having a real green card, him not having more than gold status on American Airlines. I mean, he should be executive platinum by now. I mean, the only way for you to really protect yourself at the end of the day is if you have a prenup and to enforce it. So you only have to enforce it by doing a divorce.
Yeah. So, and also the green card thing that he's been trying to get citizenship and stuff, but couldn't he get it from being married to her? I guess I need to update myself on all of this drama because I don't remember it all. So then we see the headlines. Court documents show Simon is fighting for U.S. citizenship, but his crime-riddled past keeps getting him denied. Well, that answered my question. Simon's company ordered to pay nearly $900,000 in unpaid private jet bill. Wow.
It's not good. And so Porsha's like saying that like in their relationship, she used to pride herself on having great communication. And when the communication started to lack, it felt intentional.
Yeah. And Porsha's like, we had an argument on Valentine's Day,
but I'm old school.
How are you old school? You're on your third marriage. You married a hot dog maven the last time. And this one is clearly there was something wrong with this guy. So you're not. Yeah. Portia's like, me, traditionalist.
Now, I know it looks like to many people like, oh, she posted this perfect life. But I look back and I could think to myself, I definitely posted this knowing that we were not okay.
And we see her posting all these things, like everything was all great. And so basically Randy's like saying, well, there's been some bad stuff that's been out there. And, you always take the high road, not just because it's good life advice, but it's also good court advice. And she says that she reached out to him just to see if they could find some sort of peace. And she starts to get emotional, and she's just saying how it's just really hard, but she's given up on that part. So she has to become the person that he's saying, Basically, she has to kind of become steely and cold and icy, just like he's accusing her of being, just that way she can have, her day in court.
Yeah. So then we go to dinner and drinks at Knife. And we're with Shamia, Britt, and Kelly. And so now we meet Britt. So
this is now when the show like properly begins in my book. It's like, okay, we've met most everyone, not Britt, but like now we're starting to get into group scenes.
Yeah, now we get some girl time with some girls. We're girls. So we get some time with the girls, and Britt introduces herself, and she's like, my husband's all about making sure I'm that girl. I had one ring that was 7.5 carats, and now I have a 10-carat solitaire. Hold on, let me clean it. Ding, 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 ding. Throws it at the camera.
So now here's Britt's exotic story. She's like, me and Kelly met through a mutual friend. Me being an insurance agent, I'm going to all of like the flyest, sexiest events in the city. I was like, oh yes, I'm sure that's why most people get into insurance, because that naturally comes with working in insurance, is going to the flyest,
the glamorous life of insurance agents.
I mean, look at Vicky Gunvalson going to fly, sexy events all the time in Orange County.
It's not State Farm, it's State Farmhouse Modern in the hills, darling.
So at one of these events that she got to go to, naturally by being an insurance agent, she met Kelly, and she's like, well, one of my friends was like, I think you're gonna really like Kelly, and she's like really over the top, and like the second we met, like I already knew it was gonna be a vibe, like dancing, you know, and then like I started drinking, and like I gotta make sure my titties stay in because it gets wild, you know, and I saw her titties popping out also, like my titties were popping out and her titties were popping out, and I was like, oh my god, insurance and waffles makes a great combination.
That's how I knew we were going to be friends. Both of our titties were popping out. So here we are, still hanging out.
We can put a premium on that waffle, okay? Let's get this business together.
So they order some drinks, and Kelly's like, oh my God, can I just tell you something, Britt? I'm just so proud of you, you know? I mean, you're really kicking motherhood's ass right now. I mean, wow, what a journey. Wow, everything. And, oh no, she's talking to Shamia. And so Shamia's like, oh yeah, yeah, things are going great. $9 million house, $9 million. And so they... Oh, sorry,
Kelly's like, cheers to love, peace, happiness, and maple syrup. Cheers. Yeah. So Shamia tells them that she's going to have a birthday party. She's like, they're like, well, who's going to come? She goes, well, my best friend, Porsha. Porsha's going through divorce. It's so public. And, you know, Kelly's like, oh, poor baby. Oh, I feel so bad for her. You know, sure. Yeah, she's going to come out on top. Yeah, of course. And then Kelly's like, she probably should have never took that girl's man, though.
It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. She goes, yeah, because that man was taken a little bit. She's like, no. Let's be clear. Simon and his ex, they were very public with their separation. And then we see the headline. Phelan announces she and husband Simon are splitting up after 2 years of marriage. And then another headline. Porsha Williams engaged to Simon. Love wins. The cast member shared the news that she's in a relationship 5 minutes later.
Yeah, my memory of it, and I could be completely wrong, my memory of it was that there was that Atlanta reunion, and the very next day, as soon as the third part of that reunion ended, the news dropped. Porsha was like, surprise, I'm engaged. And I hadn't even heard that Simon and Fallon had divorced, but maybe it's because it's just like, who cared? And it didn't land on the radar. And I seem to remember everyone was like, what the hell? And then it came out later, like, oh, actually, Fallon and Simon had, you know, separated like a month prior or whatever. It obviously was like very, very close. But in my mind, I had actually heard about them getting together before I'd heard about a divorce.
Yeah. And then remember there was that whole thing where Simon's like, no, because Phelan was cheating with the pool boy. And then she like ran off with the pool boy or something. So that was Porsha's thing. Like she was cheating with the pool boy, so he wasn't taken anyway.
Yeah. That was so Kelly's like, it was a little bit of a gray area, you know? And Shami's like, no, there was no crossover. Yeah, but from like outside looking in, all I'm saying is to come to somebody's home, to be greeted by their husband, to eat their waffles, and then suddenly this happens, and then you wind up marrying that person. Absolutely, that shit does look crazy.
Yeah, and she's just like, whatever. We've seen it on the blogs. You know, they're messy. And Shamia's like, wow, you know, you just can't be blaming people, you know? I just want you to get to know Porsha for yourself. And Shamia says, I know Porsha reached out to both of them, you know, Simon and his ex-wife, and was like, hey, guys, I'm here for you. And they're like, yeah, but she's reaching out to a friend's husband? Who does that?
Yeah, exactly. And Kelly's like, yeah, I just think it's a fine line. And so Shamia's like, well, who says it crossed the line? You or Romans? So Shamia's like, you know, Porsha and I have been friends since we were children, and I love her, and I feel obligated to have her back, which means that their friendship is going to disintegrate this season, because this is the nature of these shows, is that you start on the premiere saying like, our friendship is so strong and so great, but as we'll see later in the episode, Porsha shows up late to the birthday party and like interrupts Shamia's big moment. So I guarantee this is a friendship that's going to fall apart over the course of the season.
I know, it's so sad. But also, haha. So then they're talking about who's coming to the party, and Shamia has invited Drew and Ralph, which is weird. And they're like, aren't they going through a divorce? She goes, I don't know. I mean, whatever. And so Britt's like, well, I heard at the real estate party, the real estate Oscars, I heard that Drew is dating Dennis. Dun, dun, dun. They're like, Dennis the hot dog Dennis? And Shamia's like, well, they were working together, but, I heard that they were at the club holding hands.
And Britt's like, I didn't hear that they were booed up. She goes, I don't really know Drew that well, but I heard some things about Drew, and it's a mess. Okay, word gets around in insurance circles. So Kelly then says that Dennis was in her DMs, and they're like, what? Kelly's like, yeah, I posted a bathing suit photo, and he was like, there's no way you've got 4 kids, OMG. And I'm like, oh, and they're like, oh my God, Dennis. And like, did you respond? And she's like, no, of course I didn't respond. I mean, I sent him some free mimosa mix. They're like, you mean orange juice? Mimosa mix. But that's it.
And Britt's like, nobody wants to see that hot dog. I went on one date with him back in the day, and he came on the date, and he brought me a diamond necklace as a gift. Are you sure this was like a date, or was this like a date? Because that's crazy.
He's like, I'd like to get this necklace insured. She's like, thank you so much for the gift. He's like, no, I want to know how much I can get it. Can I take out a policy on this necklace? For me, thank you so much.
Because Britt, I think the thing that Kenya ends up accusing her of is like being a call girl or something later, right? And she's saying like, oh, I've even got these pictures of you with like dicks or something. And she puts them up at some party or something. Spoiler alert. So I guess that's the talk about Britt. So getting a diamond necklace on a first date's a little. So then Britt's like, yeah, he didn't get my tatas on the date because he didn't even know me, but he did come bearing gifts.
So Shamia's like, so you were definitely that girl back in the day. She's like, yeah, I was like a little video vixen back in high school. Like I was a high school girl. She's like, no. She's like, yeah. I was in Black Man magazine, all the magazines back then. Yeah, I was like in high school. And she says like nothing happened. There was like no spark, but diamonds are a girl's best friend. So I definitely wasn't returning any gifts. So she kept her diamond necklace. But also like, why is Dennis giving a diamond necklace on a first date? That's a little weird.
Yeah. So then, well, he was kind of like that with Porsha right at the beginning, where he was giving her really lavish gifts and stuff like that. Now, no one ever said whether they went and got this stuff like looked at by a jeweler. Because that's kind of what I'm curious about. So then Britt's like, let's just the best friends. And they all woo. They're like, we're best friends. Which, is going to be destroyed by the end of the episode. So then we go to Porsha and Shamia. And they're like, we are crazy wild girls. Shamia's like, I have a peach. We're going to a strip club.
Yeah. So they go and they're like, oh, whoa. And they're like, don't worry, girls. We're going to tip you. So Portia's like,
well, with my divorce being so public, like, and so stressful, like, I haven't been outside for real. So, like, Shamia's, like, such a great friend. And, like, if she says that, like, that ass clapping and shots is going to make you feel better, then I'm going to roll with her in this one.
Yeah, and so Shamia's like, well, have you talked to Simon? Because he texted me this morning. He said, congratulations on the peach. Can't wait to see you and Gerald in that beautiful Buckhead mansion. And I said, thanks, bro. It was supposed to be all of us. And she's like,
yeah, he has more things to be concerned about than a peach.
So Shamia's like, I just feel like he's chasing that, like he's chasing anything that's attached to you. He's been in the blogs every single day. And Portia's like, yeah, every little thing, everything. His posting, his constant attacks, him talking to all my friends, him lying. He's a nightmare. You definitely shouldn't have called him bro because he's not a bro. So Shamia's like, okay, he's not. He's Simon. That's who he is. So Shamia's like, well, the girls brought it up here last night. She's like, well, what girls? She goes, oh, yeah, we recast the show. There's new people on the show. So Kelly and Brittany, Kelly who does waffles and Brittany who does insurance. Yeah. So they were like, Kelly was like, why did she take that lady's man?
Yeah. She's like, that's her energy? Come on. And she's like, oh my gosh, now everyone's smearing my name already. I mean,
you can just be like everyone else, like, online. Be blocked too. I don't care.
So they're having this serious conversation. Meanwhile, there's this lady behind them clapping her ass cheeks. I can't even call it clapping her ass. I don't know what the fuck were going on with these ass cheeks. Were they robot ass cheeks? One was like doing the wax on, wax off. One was doing the paint on, paint off. One was like rubbing the belly. One was like patting the head. That was the most talented pair of cheeks I've ever seen in my life. I don't even know how anyone paid attention to this scene.
Yeah, well, I feel like in Atlanta, like the stripper arts are really elevated. Like that's, like Florence is like the home of the Renaissance, and Atlanta, like that's where our like stripper Renaissance painters are. They just know how to do it so well down there.
Yeah, they really do. Remember when we went to Swinging Dicks? What a night.
Oh, yeah, of course. That
Swinging
was
Richards, I mean.
Swinging Richards. I mean, that
gone
was. It swung too hard. Swung too close to the sun.
It knocked itself in the face with its own dong so many times it just plumb knocked itself out.
Yeah, I will never ever forget what happened there.
Me
It was a wild place.
So
And we ran into Crappen's listeners there too. That was the best part.
yeah, that was fun. So Shamia's like, but then they asked me about Drew, and because I had heard about Dennis and Drew hanging out, and I heard they were at a club, and she goes, yeah, for her birthday, right? Wait a minute, another night? Where's my jaw? My jaw's on the floor.
Yeah. So so then she's like, Portia's like saying, wait, where am I? I got lost in my notes here.
So basically,
Maybe all that
Portia's
swinging
like,
Richards got
Drew-
me disoriented.
I know, but you really are going back into that.
No,
now.
I actually got
You're just
truly
like,
lost in my
okay,
notes
Ben,
here.
it's your turn. He's like,
No, I'm seeing something about a chicken shack. And I'm like, wait, are we talking about a chicken shack?
they're talking about how Porsha trusted Drew and she's always been a supportive friend. And then we see, I don't think we saw this back in the day, but at the last reunion when Porsha wasn't in the season, Drew is in the makeup chair calling Porsha for advice, which I thought was really funny. So she's like,
what you're not going to do is let him take you, because you're the only one who's been so vulnerable and open, and let them spread out the issues. You got this.
and Drew's like, see, that's all I need. Multiple people are blushing her. She's like, that's all I need, Porsha. Friends forever.
Friends forever.
So Porsha tells us, I mean,
Even right now, Drew's an influencer for my company, Go Naked Hair. But all this behind the scenes bullshit sneaking around with my child's father, to me, that's just crossing the line.
Yeah, but how are you going to call yourself a friend of Drew's when you make her look like that in these ads? We see a shot of Drew with this Go Naked hair. You might as well go naked. What the hell is she wearing? Oh my God. Poor thing.
so now we see everyone getting ready for the party, and we're at Brett's. And
I've been on Tubi. Can I get something a little higher class than this?
She's like, I just hope I can make the big jump from Tubi to Mubi, because I think there's Tubi and Mubi, right? Tubi is where Drew Sidora is, and Mubi is where Demi Moore is.
Okay.
And I'm not even joking.
So then we see everybody getting ready for the party, and Britt's talking to her husband, Michael, and he seems very sour, which I like. And he's like, everybody's going to be drinking. She's like, well, I'm not going to drink too much because, I can be extra. And let's face it, it's not just my reputation here. It's insurance's reputation. So don't worry about me. I'm going to be just fine.
Yeah, I have to be like a good neighbor. So then we go to Shamia and her mom, and there's singing. Well, the mom's saying, "You are Jesus's favorite daughter, and you can get a direct call to him, and I need you to tell him." And then she, well, I guess Shamia's saying this, sorry, to her mom, and she starts singing, "Rain, rain, go away, come again, another day." I'm like, wow, it's probably a lot to live in Shamia's house.
It's a lot.
It probably takes a lot of patience.
And I thought, oh, that's cute. And then it just kept going and going. And she's like leaning
like
up
a
against
song.
the doorway, like singing. I mean, listen, Bueller has to put up with that shit all the time. But
She's like, I wasn't a biopic about TLC. So with no further ado, I don't need no rain. Rain is the weather. I can't get no rain with me. Hanging on the passenger side of my best friend's cloud, trying to rain on my party. Like, okay, Shamia. I think it's. I'm sorry. I apologize to our audience. No one needed to hear that. No one needed to hear an attempt to do No Scrubs with Rain when I didn't remember half the lyrics. I apologize. That was a bridge too far.
no rubber dub dubs, no men in no tubs. So now Porsha is FaceTiming with Cynthia, and Cynthia's doing that thing like talking to your mom. Either your mom has the phone on the ground, and you're like, Mom, I can't see your face. Or she's got it like this. Or she's like, hi, honey. Like, Mom, I can see your nose hairs. I can see your pores.
So yeah, she's like, why are you so close? So Cynthia's like, hi. So I heard everything about you and Simon, and I was like, you and I fall fast. That's what we do. Even though there may be red flags everywhere, if there's one thing that we love going to an amusement park, and our favorite amusement park is Six Flags. So bring on the red flags. And first of all, we fall fast with both feet. And I love when people say that. That's how they try to excuse their terrible judgment. They're like, well, what can we say? We fall in love fast. We fall hard. We fall fast. We dive in with both feet. That's just the type of people we are. It's called bad judgment. It's bad. You have bad judgment. You can try to make it sound romantic as you want. It's called bad judgment. Get some perspective. Look at your life choices and make some changes.
Well, or at least stop jumping feet or head first into pools that don't have water in them. You know what I mean? Make sure there's water in the pool.
It's like driving through a stop sign and crashing and T-boning a car and saying, well, I just love I love just driving. I just love diving in. I see an intersection. I just want to dive into it. It's like, no, there was a sign that said stop. Look at it. Look at the signs.
Peter's brew. So then Cynthia's like, well, I'm really sad. I didn't get to go to Nigeria while you were with Simon because I really wanted to go to Nigeria. And Porsha's like,
I can still go there. I'm Nigerian. I found out. I found out my 44%. So, look, I've got one of my sisters right here doing my makeup. Where are you? What's your tribe?
and she's like, Yoruba. She goes,
Yeah, Yoruba. We're the same. I'm your sister. I used to be her wife.
So Cynthia's like, so have you heard from Drew? Because I think she's divorced now too. What I'm trying to do is check in on everyone who's going through divorce, and maybe one of you guys will say, hey, by the way, how are you going with your divorce from Chahil? But if you don't want to ask me, that's fine too. I'll just keep asking you guys about your divorces.
So now they're talking about, divorce basically. And Cynthia's like, wait. So, what the hell? What are you talking about with Dennis and Drew? They're not dating, right? And she's like,
Yeah, Cynthia, please get further away from the camera. You're scaring my sister. Please move it away.
So Cynthia's like, well, I just need you to catch me all the way up because now it seems like you're back outside and you know everything. She's like,
I went back outside. Now I know too much.
So then we go to party time. So Kelly's the first one to arrive. And Shamia's like, listen, we need to have a talk. Portia's my best friend, and you bringing her up at dinner and accusing her of cheating, I didn't like that. That made me feel very uncomfortable.
Kelly's like, I'm sorry. Well, I never would want to make you feel uncomfortable. I mean, you have an elevator in your home, so I'm going to be nice to you. She goes, thank you for honoring my elevator. Have you heard my rain song? It goes, rain, rain. No, I have heard it. Actually, you sang it to me on the phone on the way in. Okay, good. Well,
now we're all uncomfortable. Thank you.
I didn't want to seem disingenuous or like shady, but I have to let you know, I did tell Porsha that you said that. And Kelly's like, well, clearly you did, because she already filmed a blog. And then we see Porsha's Amazon Live, where it all goes down. And Porsha's like,
Yeah, there's a new girl named Kelly, and she apparently owns restaurants and stuff like that. And like, I don't know her. I don't know. Whatever. She has waffles. Who cares?
Yeah, she's like, I don't know about that girl. And by the way, I'm showing this wig from my Go Naked line. I'm sorry the model couldn't show up. It's just on a trash can today. So hopefully you guys will find that attractive enough to buy it. So then Kelly's like, look, I'm going through a divorce just like Porsha, and I know what it feels like to be cheated on. So that's where I was coming from.
Well, and also she says, I think I don't remember if I said, if I quoted Porsha saying there's a girl named Kel, because then Kelly tells us, Porsha, you definitely know the name because nobody calls me Kel. You better announce me as Kelly or the Queen of Waffles, honey. Queen of Waffles. Those are your options. It's either Kelly or Queen of Waffles. That's it.
Oh, God. So Shamia's like, I didn't know you were cheated on. Well, that makes me feel a little bit for you. It explains, you know what? Thank you for being so vulnerable. Okay? Because that's what we do here. As the glue, as the glue, let me just say thank you so much for that. And I want you guys to be good, but I don't want to be in the middle of things, okay? And she's like, don't worry about it. I'm here to celebrate you, okay? I'll wait to go for Porsha until the second she walks in.
Can we hug? Okay, let's hug. Okay, I just don't want to be in the middle, but also I'm going to tell Porsha everything we just talked about right now. Okay, we're going to have so much fun tonight. And once again, from the top, rain, rain don't go away. Come back another day.
So then it's
like,
party
okay.
time, and now there's like a violinist standing on some kind of platform in the foyer and playing the violin as people comes in. Or people
love
come
New
in.
Money.
What?
I love New Money. New Money is just the best. They're just like, let's just put a violin player in the foyer.
Yeah.
Why not? Sorry, I interrupted. Go on.
No, go ahead. I was just reading what was happening. So Cynthia comes in and she's like, Cynthia just sees a violin player and she just like looks at the wall. She's like, there's a violin player here. I haven't seen that since the opening of Peter's Brew. So, and she's like, this house doesn't even have an address. It's just called Sterling Hall.
Yeah. And the producer asked Shamia where Gerald's money comes from. And she's like, well, he's an African king. So, no, that's not true. He does HVAC. Some of the airports that you've walked through, my husband has built, manufactured, and installed the HVAC. So there you have it. I mean, I love this new Atlanta. Basically, you have someone whose wealth comes from HVAC, someone who's an insurance agent, and someone who is the queen of waffles. Like, this is what we need.
Well, and that's also real money, right? Like HVAC money. And well, first of all, not only is he a rich, he's a god, because there's nothing I need more than air conditioning. So I already love this man. We don't hear a peep out of this man the entire episode, but I already love him because I love AC. But also the real money comes from real jobs, you know? Like Stephanie's husband on Dallas, that guy installed like lockers, right? Didn't he put lockers in sports rooms?
Yeah.
And this guy does HVAC, you know? That's where the money
Remember
is, real things.
I think the final season of Dallas was like a fundraiser. They were doing like lockers for disadvantaged schools. So there, yeah, I mean, it is funny because it's always the people who are like, well, he does some sort of finance or he manages this or that or has a portfolio. They're always the ones who it's like the Simons who is like, oh, it turns out they had no money after all. But the people on these shows who are kind of doing practical things of just like building lockers or HVAC, like they're loaded. They're loaded and they just have tons and tons of money.
So then we see the Oakleys. So Angela's like, I am married to NBA legend Charles Oakley. Started with the Bulls, then the Knicks. We've been married for 8 years now. So catch that. And we see a flashback of their life. And they're playing horse or something. And she's like teasing him about his stats. And then she's like, yeah, you know, to some people, he can come off direct. I was like, yes, an asshole husband. Thank God. Yeah. No Housewives recipe is complete without the addition of an asshole, old grumpy husband.
Exactly. And she's like, he's definitely a straight shooter. And I can get what I want out of him because I'm an alpha female. I can work my way around Charles. And then we see more. We're back to the party, and Cynthia and Kelly meet. And Cynthia's just like, there's like a hot bartender. So Cynthia's like, so just to be clear, you don't come with a drink, right? And the guy's like,
he's like, ha, ha, ha. She's like, oh, I'm kidding. Would you marry me? Yes or no?
He's like, ma'am, why are you speaking so close to me? Sorry. Been FaceTiming all day.
So Cynthia's asking Kelly about herself and her kids and her sign. And oh my God, Cynthia's a Taurus. She has an oldest daughter, or Kelly's oldest daughter is a Taurus, and Cynthia's a Taurus. And
Cynthia's like, oh my God, I drive one of those.
No, we find out they're actually both Pisces. And they're like, oh my God, we're Pisces. And she's like, yeah, I thought you could pick up some Pisces energy. You know, I know that we attract drama. And Kelly goes, no, we don't attract it. I think it finds us. That means you attract it. Do Pisces just have to correct you over
That's
things
like Dumb
that
and
aren't
Dumber.
incorrect in the first place?
That's like Dumb and Dumber when it's like, what time do you want to meet? And she's like, how about 6:45? He's like, what about 6:45? So also, you know, Cynthia Bailey. When I think of Cynthia Bailey, I just think of someone who is always attracting drama. So Kelly's like, she's like, yeah, I had to have a little uncomfortable conversation with Shamia earlier, you know, just a little bit, just about Porsha. And I'm like, well, why did she steal that lady's husband? And Cynthia's like, oh, my Lord Jesus.
She's like, oh
Cynthia knows what's going on.
And she's like, well, damn, if coming in hot was a person, it would be Miss Kelly. Or Drew, which is why I'm wearing Drew's John and Kate +8 wig from the TLC bio in this confessional.
Drew comes in hot, but only because she's wearing hot sauce per Dennis's orders. He says it's going to advance her musical career. We don't understand it, but we're just going to go with it. So Portia's like, yeah, she's never shy. And Kelly's like, good, neither am I. I'm sorry, Cynthia says that. So then more people arrive. And then Kelly's talking to some of the ladies, and she goes, so I hope y'all see that Shamia has my cookbook in the kitchen. Okay, I'm going to have to get all my girls my cookbooks. And we see her cookbook, which is called Cooking with Kelly, but it's spelled cooking with a K. So it's like kooky, like
Cooking. Cooking with Kelly.
Oh, God, I have to look this up. Cooking with
Cooking with Kelly.
It's cooking. Cooking with Kelly. Is it really
so
with a
then
K? It
Angela's
cannot be
like,
with a K.
well,
It
I
is with
cook.
a K.
What is it?
Oh, no. This poor girl. Okay, on Amazon, it has 13 reviews.
Oh, so I guess
It's out of print,
new.
limited availability. Oh.
It has 3.8 stars. Oh, that's not very good. Here, let's read the rating. Let's read the reviews. Shrimp and grits, they love that. And then there's only, wait, how many reviews are there? I think there's only 2 reviews. Let me see. So the first one is from Miami Charger, and it says, I love this cookbook, and I highly recommend it. Shrimp and grits. And then
5 stars.
another person says, 1 star, very few recipes. And they're both from 2019. Well, maybe it'll take off now that the show's here. And it's also a
This should be a
collection with a
re-release.
K. Cooking with Kelly, a K election of family recipes from Nana's Chicken. I'm surprised she didn't call it Canna's. Canna's
You know what, though?
Kickin' and Coffles.
I think that my confusion about Chloe and all the CH names makes sense because like you're doing a K thing with the book, but then you switched over to CH with your children. So like what happened? Where did the what went wrong?
So now Angela's saying that she doesn't really cook, and thank God because her husband doesn't like her cooking anyway. So then Drew comes in like a Patsy from Ab Fab wig. I'm not really sure what she's doing with this. So she comes in and she knows Kelly through my social media manager. He brought me some of her chicken and waffles, and she makes very good waffles. So I basically got some free waffles. That's how I know this lady.
And then Angela says, Drew and I share the same hairstylist. We actually spoke for the first time maybe 3 years ago. I like her personality. She's chill. She's from Chicago, but she did not play on the Bulls like my husband, Charles Oakley, did. Sorry.
So then we see them FaceTiming, a flashback of Drew being like, I'm going through so much over here. Oh gosh, we'll lean on each other, right? We're both Chi-Town girls. And Angela's like, I'm here for you. Now, who do I have to beat up? Who do I have to beat up? We're going to be such good friends on this show. No, Angela's going to hate this girl. I can tell
Angela's
you
gonna
that
drop
right now.
her
Yeah.
so quickly.
Angela's
They
gonna
barely know
comfort
each other.
Drew.
You know that they barely know each other. They met once briefly through a messy hairstylist. So, and I say messy only because every staff member that Drew has brought onto the show has been incredibly messy. So Cynthia's talking to Drew, and she's like, oh, Drew, we got to catch up. I haven't seen you since you and Ralph got divorced. If you want to ask me about me and Mike, I'm happy to give you some information about that too. Just like, I know we have so much to catch up on, but like, I don't have so many answers. So then Brittany is like, so are you guys publicly dating? Is he publicly dating? Are you publicly dating? What's going on? And Drew's like, girl, I mean, I have people that are showing interest, but I feel like I have to put a dot and a period on the situation because it's a lot going on.
So then this is where Angela's like, oh my God, my wig, the glue, the glue's being melted in this heat. I can't. Charles, is my hair okay? And he's like, go to the bathroom. But Charles,
Go to
I
the
mean, it's
bathroom.
Okay, right? Go to the bathroom and fix yourself.
He's like, don't, just go, just do it. So Angela's like, today I thought I was being cute. However, it was so hot, so I'm trying to use the fan to stop the wig from running, and my forehead, oh, that wig is just leaving.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
So then all the ladies are in white. It's a white party, right? So they're like, where's Shamia? Where's Shamia? And where's Porsha? Why isn't Porsha still here? And then we see 6:15 p.m. Portia's still getting her hair and makeup done. And so now Kenya's here. So they start talking with Kenya, and Kenya's still not divorced. And Britt's like, wow, 5 of you are going through a divorce? Wow, you're going through a divorce. You're going through a divorce. God, you're like minivans on an Oprah show. Jesus Christ.
And Kenya's like, oh, yeah, Britt, and you're married? Because you don't have your other ring. Are you married or are you engaged? And Britt's like, I'm married. That's my second wedding ring. That's the second one. And Kenya's like, oh, from a different guy? Or Kenya's just like, Kenya's so good at being just poke. She just finds the trigger area so quickly and she's able to poke it. And like immediately there's tension between these two.
Yeah, was I the only one who didn't think this was so bad? Because she said this is my second wedding ring, and everybody's like been married multiple times, or a lot of these people, so I didn't think it was that weird. And she's like, oh, from a different guy? And she's like, no, one husband, one man. She goes, no, I didn't know if you were married before. And she goes, well, no, this is the upgrade. This is the anniversary ring. And she's like, oh, an anniversary of the first ring.
Well, because what Kenya picks up on right away is that Britt is, when she's like, oh my God, like everyone's going through a divorce, kind of doing that thing like, and I'm the one who's still married. She's kind of doing the Kristen Takeman on Girls Trip thing. And Kenya does not like that. Kenya picks up on it. So now she's going to kind of like neg her ring a little bit and then neg the relationship. And it works. I mean, she totally gets under this girl's skin, and it's just what Kenya is so good at, like comes so easily for her and so effortlessly.
Yeah, and it's also so obnoxious when someone's like newly married, comparing themselves to people who have been divorced after like 10 to 15 years, you know?
Yeah.
Annoying. So she goes, well, Kelly's like, well, listening to Kenya's comment, I mean, that's unnecessary shade, you know? And I don't think you should be able to speak on anybody's ring if you don't have one. Oh, please. That's not true. I don't like that.
So then,
I don't like qualifying judgment. I can judge
you
whoever
can always
I want.
speak on people's rings. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Brittany is saying that she was her husband's insurance agent. That's how they met. And so Kenya's like, well, she's like, oh, so you're more than a good neighbor. and she's like, yeah, well, he found out he was in good hands and he hasn't left my side since.
So then Angela comes back and her hair looks totally different, you know. Who knows what she's done to it. And she's like, yep, the glue's gone. Got to upgrade the glue. So she goes, I just had to freshen up, guys. I just had to freshen up. So she's got like tape. She's got like gift tape from the junk drawer around her head.
She looks like she just had a head injury. It's like shiny duct tape.
Yeah. They're like, is that one of the pillowcases from the couch tied around her head? Nope. Nope. I was wearing
Are you wearing a plastic bag? So Shamia comes out. So of course she's wearing blue because it's that thing. You make all the guests wear one thing, but then you show like everyone's forced to wear white, and everyone's like, ugh, I have to wear white. But then she gets to wear blue. Yeah. So she does a speech and like she's like, it just feels so.
I can twerk.
Rain, go away. Mm-hmm. So she's like, it just feels so good to have all my friends from all my walks of life under one roof. And by under one roof, I mean outside where there's no roof. But I'm a little bit nervous about bringing all these friendships together. Can't we all just hang out, turn up for my birthday?
Where's Porsha? Where's Porsha? Where's Porsha? So she comes down and Britt and Kelly are talking and they're like, well, Kenya was a little standoffish. And Brittany's like, yeah, she was like, where's your wedding band? And I'm like, sweetheart, if all you need to know is I'm married and you're going through a divorce, but I'm married. Oh, that's bad. You should never shame somebody for being divorced because it's going to happen.
And don't say it on camera.
You. Yeah,
this will be used against you. Mm-hmm. This will be a black and white flashback.
Yeah, she's like, look at this rock. Never put so much of your pride. Don't base all of your pride on getting a diamond from a man. That's just so sad. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying you shouldn't like be happy about it, but having your whole personality like, well, look at my ring that I got from some man. No, that's sad.
Nope. We don't care about the rocks that you got. So then Britt says, I'm the youngest of three girls.
State Farm from the block.
Yeah. I got Flo from the block. So Britt is like, I'm the youngest of three girls, and my sisters are hard on me, and they're like tough on me. So if you come to me being a hater, like trying to try me or like size me up, I pick up all that very quickly. Like, oh, so when Kenya Moore says something to you and it's shady, you pick up on it.
Wow!
Wow! What an instinct you have.
You're like a Doppler. It's crazy. So then Shamia is sitting with the ladies, and someone comes over, and they're like, "Oh, I have a surprise for you outside." So we know it's going to be the obligatory new housewife gets a brand new car to prove that she's really rich for the housewives audience.
I would like a non-car surprise to be outside for one of these parties because, like you said, every single time someone's inside and they say, "There's a surprise for you outside."
It's a new recycling bin. It doesn't smell like cottage cheese from 13 years ago.
When you put in an order for a new trash bin from the city, it takes 3 years for them to give it to you, but we got you one ahead of schedule. Congratulations.
Oh my gosh. So she got a Cullinan. Is that how you pronounce it? I'm too poor to pronounce it. I can't pronounce Cullinan.
Rolls-Royce Cullinan.
Yeah.
It's a Rolls-Royce Kieran Culkin for $430,000.
It's a Rolls-Royce. Hey, who knew it would end up being better than Macaulay?
I was like calling them. So she got an Andrew Cunanan Rolls Royce, and Angela is like
$430,000.
Wow. Well, talk about needing insurance. So Angela says, "My husband, I'm punching him. Like, I hope you're looking because these are the type of gifts that I want." You know, she's like, "And you're an NBA player, so you better get this for me." Mm-hmm. So Cynthia is like, "Oh, if I had these kind of birthday presents, I might have tried to make my marriages work." Like, yeah, I can really see Mike and Peter being able to pay for these things.
Yeah, she's like, "Peter just gave me a half-drunk cold cup of coffee on my
Fortunately,
birthday."
Peter said he was going to get me a rolls for my birthday, and fortunately, it was just a bag of Hawaiian rolls. It was exciting for a moment.
So Shamia's doing like the, "Oh my God, it's a car, everybody, I got a car." And they're like, "Oh my God, Shamia got a car." She's like, "Look at my car, everybody." And then Porsha walks right up behind her and is like,
Shamia, it's me. I'm here finally.
and she's like, I am accepting my car.
It's me. Look at me. It's me reacting to Shamia getting a car.
Yeah, this was shitty because first of all, she shows up 2 hours late, and then at the moment when this is Shamia, she is an actress. This is her moment. She is the center. Everyone is looking at her, and then Porsha comes up and is like standing on stage with her, essentially, sort of shamelessly and unapologetically, not only being there late, but sort of like taking up that moment where now Shamia can't be like waving at the crowds and doing her whole bit about being like, "Oh my God, it's a car." She has to like tend to Porsha. And it's not a great look on Portia's part, by the way.
She just tells her, "You're a little late." And then she continues trying to be happy, but she's pissed. And she tells us, "Listen, let's be clear. I'm a fan of letting everybody's light shine. However, in this moment, to the left."
Yeah, and Kelly's kind of like, if it were me, I would have just like snuck in and hid in the crowd and been like, "I was here all this time." So now Portia's helping Shamia upstairs doing a wardrobe change, and Portia's like,
I'm so sorry I'm late, girl.
she's like, "Well, there's nothing I can do about it. So, I'm just a tube of Elmer's glue, and I guess you're the construction paper." She's like,
Yeah, you look gorgeous.
Yeah, she's clearly pissed. And then Portia's like,
She knows my intentions is always to be there for her, but, when you have a party at that time, the traffic's insane.
"You also live in Buckhead." That used to be Portia's excuse when she would go anywhere else, because she's like, "But I live in Buckhead now." But Shamia also lives in Buckhead. I don't think you have the same excuse.
Portia has been late to every single thing that she's ever like shown up to on this show. So like at a certain point, it's like it's one thing if you're 10 minutes late, but to be 2 hours late and be like, "Oh man, you were doing makeup. We saw you." Okay.
Yeah, I thought that would be one thing that production would make Porsha promise. Like, if we're going to bring you back to the show, you cannot make us wait for 4 hours for shit, Porsha. Because, like, there were times where Porsha was, like, 4 or 5 hours late to stuff. The shooting would be over, And then she'd show up and try and start a fight just to get her paycheck in. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Come to work.
But that being said, let's not act like the producers did not happily schedule the timing of this to be just like this, because they know it's going to create friction between these friends. I mean, this is how it happens. So Cynthia and Kenya, meanwhile, are catching up, and Cynthia is saying, "Well, apparently Shamia went out with Kelly and Britt, and Kelly apparently made a comment like, what's going on with people stealing people's men?" And Kenya's like, ha ha ha, hide your husband, hide your wife. Ha ha ha. Cynthia's like, I don't get it. What is that?
She's like, well, long story short, Kel was upset that Shamia went back and told Porsha what they discussed. And Kenya's like, oh my God, so why was Kelly upset? And she goes, well, I don't know. I don't think it's a thing, but in this circle of young, fresh people, it can become a thing. It can become a thing. And she's like, oh my God, a little thing can become a big thing? Okay, let's go do it. So she walks right over to the group and she's like, and Britt starts with her first. She's like, Kenya, can I get a hug? Because I saw how you greeted me. She goes, how did I greet you? Did I hug anybody though? Did I hug anybody?
Yeah, because that's the other thing is that when Kenya came in, she hugged lots of people, but she did not hug Britt. And so Kenya is like, well, I mean, I hugged Cynthia. I mean, Cynthia's my best friend. And like, you're over here causing trouble already. And she's like, we're causing trouble? What am I, mayhem? Get it? Mayhem, commercials, insurance. Okay, so I talked to my friend. Like, what's the big deal? And she's like, you talked to who? She's like, Cynthia. Okay, so listen. What were you upset about with Shamia taking information, you know? And so Kelly is like, well, you know, we had dinner the other night and like me, Shamia, and Britt, you know, and I was like, well, why did Porsha take that man's husband?
And Kenny just cracks up. She's like, okay, Kelly. And Britt's like, can we not acknowledge the elephant in the room? Okay. And that was the elephant in the room. And Portia's right there. She's like, oh, hi, Porsha. Hi. And they're like, hi, Porsha. And so Porsha comes in and says hello to everybody. And Kelly's like, okay, so my question was, why did she take that woman's husband? And Portia's like, oh my God, that's your opening line? Wow, what's your name again? And she's like, my name? Let me give you a hint. I have a cookbook starting with the word K. So.
Chrissy Teigen?
Ugh, no. So Portia's like, this is my first time meeting you. So anything else you want to know besides that? Because like, who are you? Where are you from? She goes, so Kelly's like, I'm just asking a simple question. And I have to say, I did like how Kelly did not shy away from the fact that she was shady the night before and she was not afraid to go up against like one of the biggest stars to come out of this show. And she just was like, yeah, I just asked, why'd you take that woman's husband? And I think it caught Porsha off guard. I don't think Porsha was expecting that.
So Britt's like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, look, Kelly can be spicy, but that's my girl. And Angela's like, oh, I know she's joking, right? I mean, you're joking, but she was dead serious. And Kelly's like, yeah, but you didn't answer my question. And Portia's like,
I don't want to talk to you.
Answer the question.
No, I don't even know you.
She goes, you know me. You've spoken on me on Amazon Live. And she goes, I don't know you. And then she turns to Britt and she goes, is that your friend? And she goes, that's my girl. And let me tell you, she's sweet, okay? I think she just wanted to address the elephant in the room. I'm the type of person that says elephant in the room a lot. So if we could just address the elephant in the room, that would be great.
Portia's like,
I don't care anymore. It's okay.
so Drew's like, well, I couldn't hear what you all were saying. Sort of like Ralph when I called down to him from the first floor. He always says he can't hear me. So they go upstairs to a quieter
All I know is
spot.
that I have to give the kids a quarter to pass the basement door every time they go down there. So Kelly's like, I stand on business, waffle business. And women who can't own what they're doing or saying is a joke to me. It's maple syrup without gold flakes in it, and I won't stand for it.
And Portia's like,
This chick is weird.
so now they all take the elevator, and a lot of elevator action this episode. Like that's the ongoing theme, which is why you mentioned earlier that it should be a character because it's a lot of elevator scenes.
Yeah, so they go to the elevator because they have to move rooms because they can't fight. They're like, wow, this is a real party, and we need to be able to fight.
They were
So
like
let's
in the
go
kitchen.
upstairs. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're all gathering in this new area. And so Shamia's like, speaking of birthdays, I didn't get invited to your birthday, Drew. And Drew's like, oh, no one got invited to my birthday. And Portia's like,
I got invited to your birthday.
it's like, well, I mean, but you didn't come, by the way.
She's like, well, Dennis invited me to your birthday.
She's like, Kenya's like, wait, why is Dennis inviting someone else to your birthday?
It's like, it was a surprise, you know. I just didn't know anything. But I did send my assistant everybody's numbers, and we all know my assistant. He's very shady, and he didn't invite anybody. So she blames her assistant for everything. She has the sloppiest assistant. I love it.
I know. Wait, you're going to tell me you told your assistant, invite these people to my birthday, and your assistant didn't invite a single person to your birthday, and you're like, chill with that?
No,
What?
she's full of shit.
No, this is a lie.
It was a surprise, but I gave my assistant a list of people I wanted to invite to my surprise. So
Yes.
which I guess he messed up on. So, but it was a huge party still of all my friends except you guys. So, but she's still full of it. In other words, so then Portia's like, "But Dennis, who's your assistant, Dennis?" And she's like, Shamia goes, "Well, Drew, I would be inauthentic if I didn't ask, are you dating Dennis now?" They're like, don't.
And that's where it ended.
What?
A wild. Well, it was a good episode. I really enjoyed it. It was super fun. I am really excited. I'm hoping that the energy of this first episode continues throughout the season because it's nice to see Atlanta being like really funny again and having a lot of stuff going on. So anyway, thanks everyone for being here. Go to watchwhatcrappens.com to get your tickets to come see us this weekend and, or later on in March or April or May. And we will catch you on the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye.